Today, we're diving into a really sharp, data-driven analysis by Boštjan Ložar that looks at the deep structural problems facing the Slovenian economy. We're going to unpack this fascinating question. How can a country that feels so good to live in be facing such serious economic headwinds at the same time? And this, right here, this is the heart of the matter. It's what we can call the Slovenian paradox. You see, on one hand, people report really high life satisfaction. It's a fantastic place to live. But at the exact same time, the hard data shows this steady, worrying decline in the country's structural competitiveness, and that's its basic ability to compete on the world stage. It's like these two realities are on a collision course. Now, this analysis, it really doesn't pull any punches. The warning is crystal clear. Slovenia is at risk of going down the same path as its textile industry did back in the 2000s. That's when an entire sector basically got hollowed out because it just couldn't keep up anymore. So the stakes we're talking about here are incredibly high. So what's actually causing all this pressure? Well, the analysis gives us a framework of four big interconnected forces that are literally squeezing Slovenian companies from every possible direction. And if you want to understand the whole problem, you've got to understand these four forces. All right, here they are. First up, you've got some tough demographic trends and a workforce that's not as engaged as it could be. Second, you have high taxes, which are a direct result of ongoing budget deficits. Third, and this is a big one, the cost of labor is going up way faster than the value those employees are producing. And finally, you have the constant pressure of global competition, which is about to get a massive steroid shot from the coming wave of AI. Okay, so that's the framework. Now, let's get into the hard evidence. We're going to take a look at the numbers that really show the true scale of these challenges. Because, as the saying goes, the data doesn't lie. At the absolute core of everything, it all boils down to this one fundamental problem. The added value per employee is just too low. This number is everything. It determines how much a company can pay people, how much it can reinvest in growth, and really whether it can survive in the long run. And wow, just look at this comparison to see how massive the gap really is. The average Slovenian company generates around 64,000 euros of value per employee. Now look at the top global companies. We're talking over 473,000 euros. That isn't just a gap, it's a canyon. It shows we're not even playing in the same league when it comes to productivity. This low value add problem gets even worse when you factor in the tax system. For high earners, the exact people you need to drive a real breakthrough, the effective marginal tax rate can actually go above 75%. So think about that. For every extra euro a company wants to pay its top talent, the government takes more than 75 cents. And here's what that system leads to. A tiny 1% of all employees in Slovenia earn more than 7,000 euros gross a month. The system is basically set up to punish high performance, and it makes it next to impossible to attract and keep world-class talent. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, right? If you're a company that's trying to innovate, trying to break through, how on earth can you pay the key engineers, the scientists, the leaders, what they're actually worth on a global market? It's a trap, and it just stifles growth and ambition. But it's not just about the money and the taxes. It's also about leadership. According to the very reputable IMD rankings, Slovenia comes in at a distant 52nd place in the world for its management practices. This points to a really systemic issue in how our companies are being run. And to put that number into perspective, ranking 52nd isn't just being a little bit behind. The analysis estimates that it represents being more than 15 years behind the world's leading companies when it comes to modern management. That's an entire business generation. Okay, now let's layer on the demographic pressure. Slovenia's population aging index is 152.8. What that means in simple terms is for every 100 kids under the age of 15, there are over 152 people aged 65 or older. This puts an absolutely immense strain on the workforce, on pensions, on healthcare, on everything. And you can see the real-world effects of all this pressure right here in the data. Just look at how absenteeism is rising. The average number of sick days per employee jumped from about 14 days in 2013 to over 20 days today. That is a massive loss of productivity for the entire economy. So when you have all these tangled challenges, low value add, tax traps, outdated management, demographic pressure, you have to ask, who, inside a company, is actually supposed to solve all this? More and more, it's the HR leaders. They're truly on the front line of this battle. And that's the crucial point. The job description for a modern HR director is just immense. They have to deal with the tough business environment outside the company, figure out how to boost that low added value, drive a total modernization of management, and prepare the entire organization for the AI revolution, all at the same time. It's a huge ask. And this brings us to that final, urgent force, preparing for AI. The analysis calls it a revolution that will be compressed and amplified, meaning it's going to happen faster and hit with a bigger impact than anything we've ever seen before. This timeline really puts it all into perspective. The electricity revolution, it took about 25 years to reach its peak. The computer revolution, that was faster, about 10 years. Now look at the projection for AI, just 3 to 10 years. The window to adapt is closing incredibly, incredibly fast. But here's the reality check. Despite that insane urgency, here's what's happening on the ground. A full fifth of Slovenian companies currently believe that AI models are not useful for their business. That highlights a really dangerous level of complacency, a lack of awareness about the tidal wave that is literally about to hit. So, what should companies be doing right this second? The analysis lays out 4 very clear, actionable steps. 1. Invest heavily in reskilling your people for jobs that will be working alongside AI. 2. Redesign your core processes to actually use AI, not just sprinkle it on top. 3. Start experimenting with brand new AI-driven business models. And 4. Set up ways to actually measure how well you're adopting and using it. And that brings us to the final, powerful question that ties everything together. All these forces, the demographics, the taxes, the management styles, the low productivity, they're all coming to a head just as this AI wave is about to crest. So the choice couldn't be clearer. Will Slovenia's companies catch this wave and ride it to a new era of prosperity, or will they get swept away, repeating the sad fate of the textile industry? The answer to that question is being written right now.